The Medium Dictates the Discourse by Lauren Campbell. Neil Postman, author of Amusing Ourselves to Death, certainly has a lot to say about public discourse in the age of show business. He makes it very clear that electronics are reshaping our society and future as we know it, but not necessarily in a good way. Look around. How often do you see people with their heads down fixated on their cell phones or tablets? This electronic addiction is changing our future, and even Postman could have predicted this. In the midst of all his strong arguments against all the technological advances, there is one point which stood out to me the most, which is the argument that the news on television produces a kind of disinformation, which in other words means the illusion of being informed. While the television has been around for a while, relatively new technologies like the internet and smartphones have not. The question I want to ponder here is this: does the internet in fact correct this idea of disinformation, or make it worse? Postman argues that the news and television in general has negatively impacted our public discourse. He also argues that the way we discuss significant events and issues is blurred because they are often fragmented conversations which value style over the real substance of the story. Think about the 5 o'clock news. You are given one story after the other, after the other, after the other. We don't really have any time to absorb any of the information and understand what is happening around us. Just as Postman says in the first chapter of the book, the news of the day is a figment of our technological imagination. It is quite precisely a media event. Most of our daily news is inert, consisting of information that gives us something to talk about but cannot lead to any meaningful action. By generating an abundance of irrelevant information, it dramatically altered what may be called the information-action ratio. Here, I think what Postman is trying to say is that the news has become a form of entertainment rather than a platform in which newscasters inform people about important issues going on around them. In most American households, the day starts off by flipping the TV on and turning to the local news station. I myself have grown up watching the Today Show and the local news stations, and when I watch the news, I automatically trust what they are pushing out to me. It's like an unquestioned trust. The problem here is, why do we always trust what we hear, just because it's coming from a qualified or reliable source? This is not only an issue with television, but also with the internet. What Postman says about the disinformation pushed out by television can also be applied to the internet. However, I believe that the internet is making this idea of disinformation even worse. As many of us know, we cannot trust every single thing we read in a magazine, newspaper, or off of the internet. Many of us also know that the internet, especially social media, gives us the power to publish information without any sort of credentials or certification. I believe that many of the points that Postman made back when this book was written still hold true today and can be applied to modern situations, just like the issue of disinformation on the internet. This is a picture of a thread of tweets that were posted by Fox News claiming that President Barack Obama had been shot on the 4th of July. Clearly, we know that these claims are not true. However, to the person receiving these tweets on their newsfeed in real time, these might have come as a complete shock. The problem with the internet and social media is that people can pretend to be something they are not. People hack into celebrity social media accounts as well as big business accounts and post things that may shock the world. Since we have this idea that the news companies are reliable, just like Fox News for example, we automatically trust what we hear and figure that it has to be true if it's coming from them. This is a prime example of disinformation at its finest. These false claims in the form of these tweets that were published by Fox News is a credible source to many. Even though it turns out that the Fox News Twitter account was hacked, people still believe what they hear because they automatically think, Fox News, it has to be true. So why does this affect us? Disinformation is a pretty self-explanatory issue, meaning it's clear how receiving false information poses a problem. The news, whether it be on television or read online, is supposed to be where we can go to learn about important issues around us that may affect us in some way. After all, its main purpose is to inform, not entertain. Sadly, throughout the years, the news on television has turned away from what its main purpose is, and the same thing is happening on the internet. While I cannot say that it is all bad and that we are all being told lies, it is important to be aware of the information that is being pushed out to you, so that you can be sure to pull in the correct information.